guys, welcome to today's podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. We're going to call this a special edition, a little impromptu. It can't wait until 2021 trends edition of the Radcast. Today we're going to talk about how attention is currency, both now and especially in 2021. I'm joined by the lovely Riley Clark. Riley, great to have you on.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so this is going to be, I'm going to call it a microcast. I'm developing brand names as we move along, Riley. Don't kill me.
No, it's good.
We
we'll
do
just
not
keep
need a
picking
logo.
it up, right?
We do not need a logo for this one. But
no worries.
In all seriousness, there's a lot going on, and there's a few things that have kind of been getting to me lately with the lack of taking advantage of social channels that's happening, combined with this notion of how scattered attention is right now. You know,
right.
I'm going to start this. We talked a little bit pre-episode. Right now, do you have you're in your early 20s?
Yes.
We'll call you Gen Zillennial. Gen Zillennial.
That's totally fine.
Do you have linear TV do you have cable TV in your home?
No, I do not. No.
Yep. Other than a live sporting event that you probably watch with a friend or something.
Right.
When's the last time you watched like TV? Linear TV.
If I'm being completely honest, I actually think it might have been the Thanksgiving Day parade, like last year.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it as a year ago. And yeah, I would have said, Thanksgiving Day parade last year.
Exactly. So again, my point is this. There's cable cutters everywhere.
Right.
And there's very little linear TV going on between Netflix, all the social media channels, YouTube, all of those things. Budgets still remain heavily in the TV format for most advertisers.
Right.
And then you have a situation with all of these channels where attention, 15 years ago when I was in marketing, you had print, radio, out of home. Facebook was just, I don't think it's 15 years old, but I mean, it was not in the main adoption stage, so I'm not even going to count it. Out of home, TV, radio, newspaper. And so in 15 years, the number of channels with which there is marketing and content has exploded. You had the internet 15 years ago, so you had blogs and those kind of things.
Right.
But it was TV, rent a movie.
Right.
Blockbuster video,
Gosh, I was
DVDs.
so sad when that went out of business.
Video on demand was just kind of getting underway, sort of. It sucked, the experience with choosing what you want.
Right.
And it may or may not work on TV. So my point in all this, I'm getting on my soapbox a bit, is because attention is so fragmented now. Right. And the reality is for businesses and brands, particularly small to medium businesses, and I'll even say medium business more. I'll even classify it as medium. The large brands with big budgets, they are definitely more, they're running content calendars. Their content on TikTok, and they've got their A game for the most part, the bigger brands going on. I'm sure there's some that are still, especially in like finance and stuff, which we work with, which are part of why we call it radical. It's like we're helping companies kind of get past that hump.
Exactly.
But for the most part, medium brands, I think, are the worst offenders because they kind of have the budget and they think they're checking the box by doing a Facebook post.
Right.
They are not being thoughtful for what garners attention in 2021 or 2020 for that matter.
Right.
TikTok videos, Reels, Instagram.
Yep.
And I'm going to talk momentarily about the opportunity with Instagram that I still think's lost. But there's three key trends that I want to talk about today.
Okay.
First one is this notion of short format video.
Okay.
How often do you get on TikTok a week?
A week? I mean, daily.
Daily? So it's daily.
Yeah.
So it's daily, multiple times a day.
Right.
What gets your attention on TikTok?
It needs to start out kind of catchy. Like there needs to be.
We need a jingle or music beat.
Yeah. I'm a music person, so if there's a good music beat or whatever, I mean that's obviously encouraging to have something kind of animated to start out with, or if it's something that if someone starts off like immediately laughing in the beginning of their video, you know something's coming, and you kind of want to watch it to see like what's going to be so funny.
Yep.
But apart from that, there's animations or whatever you can throw into any kind of reel, or TikTok is obviously.
Is it safe to say that every Zillennial is Zillennial? I just made that up.
You just made this up.
Every Zillennial is, and look, I say this a lot. I catch myself saying it, and I get a little. I'm ADD as anyone, naturally. But Zillennials, I think they're at least 20% ADD. Just by the nature of how fragmented attention is.
Right.
I'm not diagnosing anyone with conditions here. I'm just more using it as a broad scrape here.
Right.
Because of how many popping around from Instagram to Snapchat to TikTok and all that. So it has to get your attention, right?
Yeah.
Drama, music, interest.
Yeah.
Something of note or borrowed interest from something else that you've seen. You're like, oh, I know what they're playing off of.
Exactly. I mean, even then, I think some of the TikToks that I immediately go to I like the comedy couple TikToks, like, because you look at the hashtags too, because you know how the hashtags on TikTok are like right there, so you kind of already know the themes, because basically they're using hashtags as like the theme of what's in the video, Yep. So it's like couple comedy, and so you're like, oh, is this gonna be a prank, or is this gonna be like something kind of funny? But it encourages, I don't know, it just encourages engagement that way, which I think is a pretty authentic way to get people, to watch what you're about to, produce to people.
Have you bought anything from seeing something on TikTok yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. Going to my second point shortly. You know where that's going.
I do know where that's going.
So, again, not diminishing TikTok, by the way. It's a behemoth. It's grown so quickly. It's only growing. TikTok, the only thing TikTok has going against it is it's new, and it has ad tools. We use them for certain brands that it makes sense for. But the reality is, the bigger point here is the type of content that brands are creating that will garner attention. And not just for Zillennials, but for 43-year-olds like me or anyone else. The reality is our attention spans are so spread out. You have to get attention. So your content has to be made for now.
Right.
And not for... And you need to think through the lens of your consumers and not through the lens of the brand itself.
Correct.
And so what are your thoughts?
Well, I was only going to say, I know this kind of tees up into what we're talking about, but it's obviously important to know your platform specific stats, right? And so without that, you're not going to be able to fully understand what needs to be on a certain platform. And that's kind of what you're talking about right now, as far as having... TikTok is obviously going to be a certain kind of content. Instagram's going to be a certain kind of content, and so on, which is obviously what you're talking about. To your point about medium-sized businesses, you don't just want to check your box of, I have my post up for today. It's like, okay, to your point, what is it doing?
Yes.
What's it here for?
Exactly. And for anyone listening, they're going, okay, a lot of talk about TikTok, but I have limited marketing dollars, so I really belong on TikTok. Good point. That's where I'm going to lean into Instagram and some real key stats specific on Instagram, which I know we have. Let's talk about a few of those first.
Okay.
So some key traits for Instagram and what garners attention and engagement there. Let's talk about the first few ones.
Okay.
Can we bring those up?
Yep.
Number one, we were just talking about this, video gets 2 times the engagement.
Yep.
And it needs to be the right video. So I'm going to really counsel anyone listening to go, okay, we just need to do a video. It needs to be the right video. And how do you know what the right video is? Hey, go use the search button and see what your competitors or even bigger brands than yourself are doing. What are they doing and what's getting the most attention? There's a lot of tools for seeing the types of content that gets engagement.
Right.
The second thing, which is really actually pretty interesting, tagging other accounts. Did this surprise you?
I was really shocked with this. When I saw this, part of me was thinking to myself, there's no way that's correct.
Yeah. Tagging other accounts lowers your engagement.
But people tell you all the time, tag. Oh, make sure you tag me here. Make sure, you tag this business, whatever. But I actually think it kind of creates an unauthentic post, because some people are like, oh, they're only tagging so that way they have more people liking this, or more people are able to share, or whatever it is. I think it can kind of defeat the purpose of
I think
the whole point
Instagram
of
is
the post.
figuring out like the algorithm for what people do to kind of spike it, and or they assume potentially, and sometimes it's not right. I would just say it because that tagging someone else is borrowing interest, which means the content you're posting might not be strong enough on its own. I think that's where it's headed, and that's what it's suggesting. And so, do I say never tag anyone in your content post? No, I'm not saying that. But you need to be judicious about it and have a very specific reason. If you're doing a partnership, a paid partnership with someone, or if you're working with an influencer, obviously some of this goes out the door.
Correct.
And the tools within Instagram will allow you to kind of impact that. And I think they take that into account versus an organic post, non-paid, non-promotion, non-influencer, where you are just doing something organic. That's when you need to be real judicious if you need to really tag something else. Let the content be good enough to stand on its own.
Right.
Third, engagement is highest on Wednesdays. I think this is Hump Wednesday. Everybody's looking for it. I'm chalking this up to just what natural human behavior, and I'm speaking mainly from the U.S. consumer point of view on most of this. I know we have some international people that listen, and I can't speak to this. A lot of this data was from U.S. followers and from data that we gathered. So, middle of the week, you're building towards the weekend. Maybe everybody's a little overworked for, at that point, and maybe more engagement. I don't have a lot to chalk this up to, other than it just being the reality of the data.
Right.
Does it mean anything to you from a user of social, from both a business standpoint, working at the agency, much less as a consumer? Does it make sense to you?
It makes sense. The only other thing I think I would throw in with this is, I feel like Wednesdays, and it's also interesting, Wednesdays are the highest for other platforms too. I mean, I know we're a podcast, it's the highest for podcast listeners as well. And if anything, I don't know if it's just the middle of the week kind of, I just need to recharge, like everything's kind of just coming in the middle, because I say this to say that this is from a global perspective. But if you look at this, the highest is obviously on Wednesday here.
Yep.
But it's between 11 and 3. So it's like the middle of the middle. Do you know what I mean? It's like the middle of the middle of the middle is when things are going to be the highest. And I think it's just because psychologically everyone's kind of like either some sort of mental break, wanting to check the feed, some sort of, whatever it is, need a sense of entertainment middle of the week. There it is.
It is ironic that it is dead in the middle of the work week, and the hours are dead in the middle.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, how much more of the middle can we get here?
No, it is. But if you bring that chart up one more time, I think that's really interesting. If you see, though, generally speaking, from 11 to 5, is that say every day is your best time period for posting?
For sure.
Everyone's doing it at work. I need
what
to
does that tell you? You gotta go.
I'm gonna
check
get a
your
monitor
employees
on everyone's phone. I'm kidding.
No,
we're an agency.
No.
I want people both consuming and working, so I'm okay with it. But yes, funny. Interestingly enough, and then lastly, public figures have the biggest engagement. Not surprising,
right?
The more known you are, the more attention you have. And it's back to my point, actually, overall for the podcast, which is if you want consumer attention, you need to be using the content, using the influencers, using the medium in the right way.
Correct.
And I dare say we are so past the point of checking the box of doing the social opportunity in 2021 is so great for a few reasons, but we're so past the point of we posted today, with no thought, or we posted our brand video today on social media. I love it. It got 60 likes by our 200 followers. Right. If even that. And so again, it doesn't have to be gimmicky, but here's the tip of the day. I said this the other day, and sometimes I say things that are smart, not all the time. But I was just like, that makes sense. Think about you and not I. Think about the customer and not the business. If you'll think through the lens of what's interesting to them, what problem am I solving, what is making this at least entertaining or wanting me to engage with it is going to make better content. Sharing your speeds, feeds, products, services in a just standard bullet formed video or content piece, or your employees and how happy they are at work today isn't getting any engagement.
Right.
You might as well not be doing it.
Right.
It's not just good enough. It's like you're actually hurting the brand. And I think that's what, if I want to get anything across today, is attention is currency. And I would argue that bad attention is killing you. And it's killing your brand.
Well, I'll also say this too. I'm gonna bring this up here. I found this chart too, and it's why consumers want brands to take a stand on social media anyway.
Yep.
And I think all these charts, have, there's credibility here, but brands need, I guess, to realize that it's not just having the social media presence, it's also how you're engaging with your consumers, with your customers, with your audience on social media. And it's also how you're interacting with your competitors on social media, how you're making yourself stand alone on social media, those kinds of things that I think brands, as far as their social media presence, specifically on Instagram, because this is kind of what we're talking about right now, need to start putting this kind of stuff into practice.
It's a great point, because back to what I said, I'd rather you not do it at all if you're going to do it generically. I would say this: if you at least take a stand and share if you do nothing but use social media as your purpose-driven medium,
right, that
would be a winning approach versus standard pictures, standard generic brand content, standard anything. Is to at least just use it for your how you give back, how your social responsibility is, what your stand is, within the geopolitical nature that we are, within reason. I'm not asking, I don't think everyone has to say who they're voting for, but at least where you stand on core things, whether it's climate, whether it's, free trade, whatever it is, depending on your business. I think it's really important. Yeah. Lastly, I think on Instagram, and the reason that I think it's so underserved for businesses is the engagement rate on Instagram is still, other than there's some dimensions with TikTok that certainly overcome this, but let me just say within the mainstream social media channels, and certainly TikTok is in there. Somebody's going, oh, what are you talking about? TikTok's the fastest growing one. I know it is, but I'm talking about for business and for very specific reasons. Instagram is still underserved. A lot of businesses still on Facebook. They're reposting the same thing to Instagram. They're not leveraging the opportunity to sell within Instagram. And I'm talking about B2B and B2C. And the biggest thing I'm going to see for 2021, my number one trend, is the increase in social commerce. Yes. What's happening here is you have, and I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but I think I just want to drill it in with a fine point. You're meeting this really great place where there's been demand to buy socially for a while. There's been the ability, and someone again listening going, well, I've been selling with video ads on Instagram for 5 years. What is he talking about, this new place? Here's the difference. You can actually link your products. It's become so much easier and more capable within the platforms themselves, both Facebook and Instagram, for e-commerce specifically, to buy and shop and engage within the content. You're meeting a real intersection of demand from consumers with capability with the platforms, with the products and services that all align in that. And so there's such an opportunity, and I don't care if it's B2B or B2C, there's an opportunity to sell socially more than there ever has been. And we are at the pinnacle peak opportunity where capability, demand meet. And you have to realize this. This is why I'm heavy on Instagram compared to TikTok. TikTok's getting there. Don't get me wrong. They have a great integration with Shopify now. But Instagram's just further along in the evolution of their platform. Within Reels you can shop. Within all of your content you can shop. You can load all of your products. You don't even have to have practically an e-commerce site anymore, which I'm not suggesting that anyone not necessarily have their own site for a lot of other reasons. You want to get data, you want to build your customer list.
Obviously.
But you can literally sell through these platforms greater than you ever have, and you're going to see, I think, double-digit increases in social commerce in 2021. My number one trend for 2021. We're going to do a big trend episode in December, but I can tell you right now that's going to be my highest one because I think it's people are talking about it, but I don't think they're putting really all the eggs in the basket that could be for that.
No, I agree.
I mean, how many things have you bought on Instagram in the last 30 days?
Last 30 days? Actually, nothing.
Okay.
But month before that, yes. But I say that
a few things a month. If
yes,
you average it out over the year.
Month. Yes, a few things a month for sure. But I think the other thing is like 90% of accounts are following a business.
Yes.
At least one. And I mean, I follow at least, like 6 or 7, probably even 20 brands. I think I follow.
Bet you it's more than that.
I was going to say, I think it's probably more than
100,
that. Probably. But it's like, I love, and the thing is, I think a lot of people got upset with Instagram at first when they changed the layout of their platform or whatever, but it further proved the point how strong they're trying to get on the e-commerce side of things. Yep. Because when you look at the Instagram app now, if you've updated your phone, you would look at this. But on the Instagram app, where your notifications used to be is now the shopping platform. And it's now where your companies that you interact with have their products right there for you. And it's dangerous. It is, because I'm over there like, oh gosh, okay, and then I'm saving everything, I'm going through it that way. But it's smart, and it further proves your point of things are going more in an e-commerce way. Instagram is becoming more of a shopping platform, which is totally fine. I think it's great, because where else are brands going to be able to connect their message with their audience, with content, with their products?
Yep. And then you have this rain cloud overhead that's driving all of it, called COVID, which I don't want to. I was almost wanted to not mention in this whole episode to go.
I was going to say we've done so well actually so far.
But the reality is, is. Look, with cases growing and things going on, e-commerce is just going to grow even more.
Correct.
No matter where you fall on it, people are not going to be in-store shopping as much as they were. So that's another variable that's driving all of this. The last thing that I want to mention with this, and it's back to where attention is messaging and communicating with customers within social platforms.
Yes.
Yes, it's been around. No, it's not new. But what's happening is a couple things, both within the platforms and text messaging. SMS/text. SMS is the technical term, but text messaging automation and things like that is going to boom in 21. It's already growing now. But also Facebook messaging, Instagram. Facebook has now integrated all of their messaging, whether it's Instagram, Facebook. You can do it all within their business messenger platform.
Yep.
And so what you're seeing, and this is for B2B and B2C, there's an acceptance level here for communication through those channels.
Right.
And we're doing a ton of ads that drive straight into messaging for the certain projects, because you get the biggest thing you can do for a consumer, whether you're B2B or B2C. Yes, we would love for them to add something to your cart and or call a sales rep and buy something today. That is the ideal approach. But in that purchase funnel, in that cycle, whatever you want to call it, there's usually questions that people have. And the fastest they can get to you, or you can get to them, for that direct communication is key. And so again, you have this demand and expectation from customers meets opportunity within these social channels, be it SMS, text, or through the social channel platforms. And so I dare say you to take advantage of those, no matter what size business you are, because that is wide open. There's a ton of white space there. And yes, I'm sure there's brands that are listening, we're doing that. We've been doing that for years. But again, I can tell you, because we see the data, and we know the number of clients that walk in our door that are million and billion dollar companies that do not do this.
Right.
And so it needs to be taken advantage of in the right way. And there's strategies for that. We're not going to get to every one of them, but these are things you need to be paying attention to and testing. There's so many opportunities. That's the thing, is get off the blocks and test some of these things.
Right.
Any other key thoughts that we had in any of the charts or anything like that?
No, the only other thing I was going to say is, and, this is not to freak anyone out or whatever, make anyone upset, but I think there's a lot of businesses that are probably even listening to what we're talking about right now and going, well, it's okay, I'm already doing everything they're already talking about. And respectfully, you're still not.
Yep.
Respectfully, there's a different approach you can have to drive a higher engagement level, to then drive a higher, create a relationship with your audience, because you've talked about this before with Josh when we've had Josh on the podcast, having that audience loyalty, your brand loyalty. You create that when your brand has a persona, a social media presence. It's your social media profile. It's like who you are on a digital platform. Make it human, you know, and there's so many more opportunities than just, to your point, recap, just your one post a day. It's not cutting it. You know, reach out to your customers, reach out to people, you know, check out their stories, interact with them. It's significant. It makes an impact.
Yep. I don't think that, again, we've even wrapped our heads around the complete opportunity here. And I think that's the point of this overall.
Absolutely.
And so we appreciate everyone listening to this episode of the podcast. As you may, if you're watching it on video or Instagram Live, we do produce these now. We have a very dynamic production suite, thanks to our lovely Riley Clark. So you check it out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We will post a video that's got dynamic, interactive content that goes along with everything that we're talking about. And you can always learn more at theradcast.com. Thanks, Riley.
All right, sounds good. See you guys next time.